All right, this is the I Am Rapaport stereo podcast in prime time. Prime time podcasting from the I Am Rapaport stereo podcast. My name is Michael Rapaport. You could call me Michael Pacino because today is Al Pacino, the great, the icon. Al Pacino turned 78 today, and we are going to celebrate him. We are going to discuss him. Smash Mouth podcasting in prime time. I'm going solo on that ass. We're going to talk about Al Pacino in hip-hop, Al Pacino as an actor. NBA playoffs are underway, and the NFL draft is Thursday, okay? And I'm going to give you my senior fantasy football analyst picks. All that and more on a brand new I Am Rapaport stereo podcast. Oh, and I forgot. My main man, 50 Grand. You've seen him in so many goddamn movies. My man, Kevin Corrigan. You'll recognize his voice. You recognize the face. He was in GoodFellas. He was in The Departed. He was in Pineapple Express. He was with me in True Romance. He's been in, he might have been in up to 100 films. One of the best actors, one of the most unique actors doing it. Television shows, films. He was on the show The Get Down. My main man, Kevin Corrigan, is going to break down the great Al Pacino with me. We're going to talk about Al. We're going to tell some true romance stories, all that and more. Primetime podcasting coming up next. Miles Jordan. Let me get some funk. I'm going to do the damn thing. Then I'm going to pass it off to my main man, Kevin Corrigan from the Boogie Down Bronx. And let's go. You want to have a good time, you got to have a good shirt. Okay, and Untuckit is a fantastic shirt. 99.9% of the time when you see me, the Gringo Mandingo, in public, on television, on the sidelines, for the big three, I am wearing a beautiful, fantastic Untuckit shirt. It's never a good look when you untuck a long, bulky dress shirt. It's not the early 90s. You may think it's a good look, but it's not, okay? You might think it looks cute, but trust me, it looks sloppy. You look ridiculous. That's why Untuckit makes shirts specifically designed to be worn untucked. That's right, dress shirts, casual shirts. And I'm telling you, not only do they look good, they feel great. If you are a woman wishing you can have one of these, well, Untuckit now makes shirts for women. Also, log on to Untuckit.com and check out all the new arrivals. Use the promo code CHAMP, that's because I'm the champ, for 20% off your entire purchase. You can also visit one of Untuckit's over 25 retail locations across the country. Stop hiding your shirt with your pants and your pants with your shirt. It looks crazy. It's 2018. You got to look lean. You got to look mean. You got to look clean. Okay? And you got to look correct. And the best way to wear a dress shirt is an Untuckit shirt. Go to Untuckit.com, your solution to perfecting casual. Use the promo code CHAMP for 20% savings. Go to Untuckit.com. And trust me, you're going to look like $1 million, but you're going to spend next to nothing. Untuckit.com. All right, my name is Michael Rapaport, as I told you, a.k.a. the Jake LaMotta of podcasting, a.k.a. the Jeff Rulin of podcasting. Today, you could call me Mike Pacino. The great Al Pacino. What an influence. What an incredible influence. Turned 78 today. I woke up this morning and saw it on social media that Al Pacino turned 78, and I said, no. Whatever plans we had for today's primetime podcast, we're changing it. We have to articulate and celebrate this man while he's here, while he's alive. This guy means so much. Any actor, first I'm talking about the actors, because the fans have a whole other point of view on it. Any actor will fawn, will stutter, will stammer, will get flustered, will blush. Their heart will skip a beat. Literally, actor or actress. Talking about Al Pacino. He means that much. I mean, there's a bunch of great ones, but Al Pacino, whether you equate him to Michael Jordan, to Babe Ruth, to Van Gogh, to the Beatles, to Run DMC, to whatever you want to equate it, Al Pacino is that. He's a game-changing actor. He and obviously Marlon Brando, Dustin Hoffman, Robert Duvall, and a handful of other actors. They changed the game. They brought that method acting into the fold, that reality that you could touch. It went from the guys before them, the Humphrey Bogarts, the Henry Fondas, and that all those guys. They were all great. That whole era of acting in the 60s, early 60s, 50s, 40s, Cagney, they were all excellent. But when the method style of acting came in, it became like acting in film became tangible. You felt like they were alive. It was no more cardboard cutouts. And today, one of the best to ever do it, continue to do it. He just kicked ass in the Joe Paterno film that was on HBO, directed by Barry Levinson. It portrayed probably like the last 2.5 weeks of Joe Paterno's life, and Pacino killed it. He's if he doesn't win the Emmy, he's getting nominated for the Emmy. He just, his body of work and what he's done for the longevity of time and the uniqueness and the iconic, whatever the fucking word is, the iconic nature of his performance and the films that he's been in speaks for itself. We're talking about The Godfather, Godfather Part 2, Scarface, of course, Panic in Needle Park, Carlito's Way, Donnie Brasco, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, it just goes on, and Heat. I'm just going off the dome here. Glengarry Glen Ross killed it, and Justice for All, Sea of Love. So many damn films, so many performances. Dick Tracy, that Jack Kevorkian film that was made for HBO a couple of years ago, and Justice for All. So many films for such a long period of time, and just a game changer, revolution. It just went on and on and on. It continues to go on and on and on. Later on in the show, like I said, Kevin Corrigan, who you're gonna be like, who? Kevin Corrigan is an actor. If you look up his name right now, while you're listening to this primetime podcast, you'll recognize his face. Been in, I think, probably 100 films. I met him when we did Zebrahead together. He had already been in Goodfellas. He plays Henry Hill's brother. Stop Stirring the Sauce. Who put their finger? Who he was Henry Hill's brother who was in a wheelchair. Ray Liotta's brother. He's been in The Departed. He's worked with so many different people over the years. He's just such a good actor, such a one-of-a-kind actor, such a unique actor. You've seen him in Pineapple Express. He's worked with Scorsese 2 fucking times. He got invited back to the party. So I always, when I first saw him act when we were doing Zebrahead, honest to God, I remember it clear as day. We had this scene, and he comes out and he starts screaming at me, and I literally was like, oh shit, this guy's like a young Al Pacino. Then we became friends, and we worked together again on True Romance and a movie called Kicked in the Head, and I mean, different television shows. We worked together on Dice, we worked together on Public Morals, just a bunch of shit. He's a good friend of mine, and he's such an articulate, passionate actor and a fan of acting, and probably his favorite guy is Al Pacino. So I'm gonna talk to him about Al. He's met Al. He's been around Pacino. He's just got great insight to it. Plus, we're True Romance, the 25th anniversary of the film True Romance. We're gonna tell some True Romance stories. And Pacino, what can I say, man? Pacino's influence and on hip hop is something that's crazy. He's probably the most quoted, name-dropped actor in all of hip hop. Obviously, the great Scarface, Face Mob from Houston, the Ghetto Boys, he named his hip hop persona after the character that Al Pacino plays in the movie Scarface, Tony Montana. Everybody who's anybody has mentioned an Al Pacino character. Remember Jay-Z? He said, "Okay, we reloading." It wasn't him, but it was the other. It was the dude who used to do all the skits on the Jay-Z records. Jay-Z's quoted him, said his name. I remember that one song, "Bring It On." He said his name. The Game mentioned his name a few times. It's just off the top of my head. Raekwon the chef, he says Al Pacino's name. All my Al Capone, Al Pacino N-words. The Game has that one song, Breakfast with Al Pacino. Nas has mentioned his name. Helter Skelter. Shout out to Sean Price. And Le Fleur. They mentioned Al Pacino. I think Al Pacino, if any rapper who's had a body of work, I guarantee you they've mentioned Al Pacino. And of course, the culmination is the great Scarface, Face Mob from the Ghetto Boys, and of course the solo icon, which I need to get him on the podcast. We've been talking about it. He lives down in Houston, so it's hard to get him. I can't do Scarface on the phone. I need to do Scarface in person. And we've talked about it a few times, so I need to get him on it. So anyway, we're going to talk about Al Pacino later on in the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast with my man Kevin Corrigan. And trust me, if you're a fan of films, you don't want to miss this conversation, even though you might be like, who the fuck is Kevin Corrigan? Trust me, you do not want to miss this conversation. So listen, this is a primetime podcast, okay? And if you listen to the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast, you know we've had some wild shit go down this year, business-wise, which you're not going to get into. But we're taking the fucking bull by the horns, okay? We're going to start betting on ourselves. We're not depending on any fucking asshole bleachers. We're not depending on anybody, okay? So we're going to do something ballsy coming up. We're going to do something big. We're going to do something fantastic for the fans, okay? And it's going to be cheap, okay? But it's going to be a little different, okay? But it's for the hardcore, hard-body fans and anybody else that rocks with the best, okay? On the next episode, I'm going to give direct information. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be fantastic. I'm hyped up about it. G Moody, whose last name rhymes with Duty, is hyped up about it. And of course, the Dust Brothers are hyped up about it. But let's get down to business. The NFL draft is coming up Thursday. The NFL draft is coming up. And listen, the NFL draft happens. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. And the next thing you know, we got a little break. Boom, we're at NFL training camp. Okay? I've been very clear. My favorite player in the NFL draft is Saquon Barkley, the Penn State running back, the beast. He's a fucking beast. He's an ass kicker. Saquon Barkley. I do not want him getting drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Why the fuck would anybody? When you dream of playing football, unless you're born and raised in Cleveland, and even then, you probably have wandering eyes. Even if you're born and raised in Cleveland and you have a potential to be a first-round pick, of course these guys are going to say, I'm just happy to be in the draft. I'm blessed for the opportunity. Bullshit. Nobody wants to be drafted by the Cleveland Browns. No fucking body. It's a godsend, okay, that the chosen one, the self-anointed king, LeBron James, was somehow, some way born in Akron, Ohio, and even had the humility and I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck they were feeding him out there, that he had the wish and the want to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He played for them. He left because he's smart. He went back because he's fucking dumb. Kidding. And he won them a championship. But if you are growing up in the state of Ohio, and Ohio is a big-time sports state, if you are growing up as a football player in Ohio, there's no way in hell you're like, I just want to grow up and be a Cleveland Brown. Get the fuck out of here. The team was 0-16 last year, and those motherfucking fans celebrated. They could call it a protest. No, that ain't a fucking protest. That was a celebration. They were 0-16. We know the history of the Cleveland Browns. They suck. You're not taking my guy, Saquon Barkley. Born in New York, in the boogie down Bronx, he is meant to be a New York Giant. Look at him. Right now, I'm going to give you my top 10 picks. These are the people. I am telling you right now. I'm a senior fantasy football analyst. Like, I'm waiting. Okay, here it comes. Okay? This is what's going down. 2018 NFL draft players to watch for fantasy football next season. Are you ready? Okay? I am not a senior fantasy football analyst for nothing. Okay? I got that title the right way. I earned it. Sam Darnold, he's the real fucking deal. You, Sammy D, you can enjoy Cleveland because no one else does. You'll learn behind Tyrod Taylor in the bitter, freezing cold, and they will throw you in when the Cleveland Browns are down. Probably 3-5, week 8. Number 2, my main man, Saquon Barkley. Uncle, former middleweight champion, Iran Barkley. Saquon Barkley will be going number 2 to the New York Giants. These are my predictions. Mark them down. Number 3, the chosen one. Fucking Jewish quarterback. I can't believe it's happening, but a Jewish quarterback will be coming to New York. The chosen one, Josh Rosen, will be picked number 3 to the New York Jets. The big, bald Jew is ready for the opportunity. New York is the place that is going to go fucking apeshit for a Jewish quarterback. I got to be honest, I didn't think I would ever see the day. But the New York Jet fans and the New York City area in general, you could even be a Giants fan, they're going to go fucking crazy for Josh Rosen. You, my friend, are going to be drafted by the New York Jets. Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson will be problems if they land in Miami and Buffalo, Arizona, or New England for the future. Okay? Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson, they are going to be problems. Hopefully they land in Miami, Buffalo, Arizona, or New England. I'm going to be honest. I'm not on the Josh Allen train, okay? A lot of people are saying to take him, but anyone saying to take him doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, okay? My man Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, SMU, 6'4" monster, 2-guard, and friend of the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast. He's going to be coming to the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast real soon. He's a fucking beast. I guarantee you he could do all kind of fancy dunks, but he's taking his talents to the NFL. Calvin Ridley of Alabama and DJ Moore of Maryland can make immediate fantasy football impacts. Darius Geis, running back from LSU, 5'11", speedster, overcame a terrible tragedy. His father was murdered when he was 5. I'm rooting for this kid. Remember the name Darius Geis from LSU and Rashad Penny from San Diego State. He put that school on his back. He could do it all. And finally, Bo Scarborough. Okay, anybody named Bo is good with me. Alabama running back, 6'2" bruiser, who's LeGarrette Blount-esque. Okay, these are my top 10. Maybe I said 11. These are my players who are going to make an immediate impact in the fantasy football world coming up in the 2018-2019 season. But I want to say it one more time. Cleveland, you fucks you. Do not fucking make any... Don't do it. Leave fucking Saquon Barkley in New York. He deserves to be a Giant. Sam Darnold, take him. Take him. He's got that big jaw. He looks like he'll be just fine out in Cleveland, okay? 2018 NFL draft players to watch out for in fantasy football. Those are my guys. Obviously, this terrible situation, we all heard about it in Tennessee. Sick fuck who doesn't make the sick fuck of the week list, because when you do what he did, killing, there's nothing funny, there's no jokes to be made about it. But a true blue sick fuck came into a Waffle House at 4 a.m. a few days ago with a assault rifle. Again, I said it once, I'll say it many, many times. You never hear any good stories about assault rifles. You never hear any. On today's news, we have a good story, a happy ending to a story of a guy holding an assault rifle. That never happens. It's always tragedy. Unfortunately, 4 people were killed. A hero who was in the Waffle House after he killed 4 people, somehow, some way had the grit and the wherewithal to fight off the guy who was naked. Imagine you're in a diner at 4 a.m. and a naked motherfucker comes in there, period. okay? Let alone with an assault rifle and start shooting people. How frightening, how terrifying, how scary, how life-changing something that would be. I can't even imagine. But this kid in there was able to get the weapon away from him. The naked sick fuck fled the scene. He was on the lam running in Tennessee for about 12 hours. 24 hours approximately, something like that. You know, we don't fact check at the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast. Finally, he was caught, charged with 4 counts of murder, amongst other things. And somehow, some way, a judge granted him a $2 million bail. There's no bail. How the fuck can there be bail for a guy that killed 4 people? There's no $100 million bail, no $20 million bail. You, the judge that granted this motherfucking piece of shit who should be locked underneath a prison in a cement block. Okay, there's no bail. What if he came from a wealthy family and somebody was able to bail him out? You could kill 4 people and then get bailed out. That judge who did that should be disbarred. They should no longer allowed to be a judge. There's no bail for you. You killed 4 people with an assault rifle in a Waffle House in 4 in the morning. That's terrorizing. There's no fucking bail. I'm not doing any sick fucks of the week. That judge who granted this piece of shit bail is the only sick fuck of the week that we need to discuss. Crazy. I'm going freestyle. I can't remember the kid's name. He's been all over the news, but God bless you for having the balls and the heart to save your own life and consequently save more people's lives by fighting this sick fuck, getting the gun away from him. We have a lot of fans in Toronto. Tragedy up there. Terrible tragedy. Person drove into a crowd, killing mass amount of people. My heart goes out to those people. The city of Toronto, we have a lot of fans up there. I haven't spent that much time up there. But good people, beautiful city, very, very, just a unique place. I'm looking forward to going up there this summer. So my, what can I say? My thoughts, prayers, everything from the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast goes out to those guys. What else is going on? Oh, as predicted, I predicted it. I could get the date, but I don't fact check. But it was somewhere along the lines of March 22nd, March 23rd. I want to say March 23rd. I'm pretty good with dates when I put my mind to it. Remember when Johnny Cluckhead, Johnny Fuck Up? Remember when Johnny Manziel was popping shit to me, the Gringo Mandingo, and he had the honor of being dragged and Willie hutched, not only on Twitter, but on this here I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast. Remember that podcast where I dragged this motherfucker and his crew and we put them on the shame game? One of the things I said to Johnny fucking Cluckhead was when you're out of work, when you're not playing in the NFL, reach out to the boys at Barstool Sports and tell them to get that podcast ready for you. You're going to need employment. Lo and behold, motherfucker, I was right. Tomorrow night, if you have nothing fucking better to do with yourself, during the NFL draft and after, Johnny Cluckhead, Johnny Fuck Up, will be doing a special podcast with Barstool Sports. If you got nothing better to do, listen to the analysis of a guy who fucked up all of his opportunities. That's the guy you want to hear talking about football. That's the fucking guy you want to hear talking about football. I predicted it. I was right. My next prediction, I said it once, I'm saying it again, Richie Incognito. Remember the lineman from the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills? He's the one who got into the racial beef with the other offensive lineman, calling him N-word this, N-word that, and all kind of other wild shit. He will be on Barstool Sports too. That's the kind of scumbags that they go to, Richie Incognito and Johnny Cluckhead. I predicted it. I was right. G. Moody, fuck you. I'm the Hostradamus. My predictions come true. You fuck you. G Moody is nursing a pulled hamstring. That's why he cannot be with me on today's I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast, okay? The NBA playoffs are in full swing. This sort of underdog, the sleeper team of the playoffs thus far, the New Orleans Pelicans, who play in Smoothie King Arena, despite being named the Pelicans and despite playing in the Smoothie King Arena, they beat the shit out of my guys, the Trailblazers, Evan Turner, CJ McCollum, Dame Dollar, 4-game sweep. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming, but they won. And up next, one of the second-round matchups, one of the only second-round matchups that is set and ready to rock is the Golden State Warriors, who beat the San Antonio Spurs. Remember, G Moody, whose last name rhymes with Duty, predicted that the San Antonio Spurs were going to beat the Golden State Warriors. What the fuck are you smoking, Duke? They got their asses kicked. Listen, they played gallantly under duress with the tragedy. Greg Popovich, their coach, their leader, one of the great voices in all of sports. His wife passed away seemingly suddenly. But they still wouldn't have beat them. Without Kawhi, they just were undermanned. And Manu Ginobili played great during the series. The big question now, the Miami Heat, who also got bumped by the Philadelphia 76ers, who are going to be a problem. Cleveland is still tangling it up with Victor Oladipo, Miles Turner, and those guys out in Indiana. But if Cleveland does, in fact, beat Indiana, and it ain't over, the series is tied as of the recording of this I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast. Cleveland versus Philly, I think it's over. I think it's fucking over. Whatever. Okay? But Manu Ginobili, the big talk of the NBA is will Manu Ginobili and Dwayne Wade, who's officially bumped out of the playoffs with the Miami Heat. These guys are icons, Hall of Famers, first ballot, ASAP. Totally earned it. Nothing was given. Will these guys be playing next season? My inclination is that D Wade will be playing next year. And I think Manu Ginobili will come back for one more. I don't think they're going to retire. Neither one of them has announced it. But the NBA it's cooking right now. It's looking like the Rockets are playing the Jazz. If the Jazz continue to kick Oklahoma City Thunder's ass, they beat the shit out of them the other day. Jonas Jerebko, Ricky Rubio, Smoking Joe Ingles, and of course, Rookie of the Year, Donovan Mitchell, and their coach, Quinn Snyder, a.k.a. Duke Snyder, Coach of the Year. Yo, they had OKC ready to, they looked like they wanted to quit. The Oklahoma City Thunder looked like they wanted to quit. And the question is, after this season, is what's Russell Westbrook going to do? Because Paul George is leaving, as he should. I think Carmelo's contract has him staying there, but what's going to happen with the Oklahoma City Thunder? Because unless some miracle happens and Utah totally folds and they get injury struck and quick, that series is over. And the Rockets versus the Jazz is going to be a great series. Anyway, the NBA playoffs are underway. This is my time of year. We're going to be doing emergency podcast, in-game reactions, post-game reactions, and I'm going to break down that more. All right, what more can I say? I could tell you this. You motherfuckers, there's a company out there that tried to bite. This has happened before. There's other companies out there that have referred to their t-shirts as Buttersoft. No fucks. There's other people that have referred to their socks as Buttersoft. No fucks. We invented the whole Buttersoft phenomenon. Almost 4 years ago, we declared the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast t-shirts are Buttersoft. Get yourself some Buttersoft t-shirts. This company called Teespring, these fucks, they're trying to bite our sucker shit t-shirt. Look it up, and it ain't Buttersoft. It ain't a Buttersoft sucker shit t-shirt. Just don't bite it. Just don't bite it. Some company named Teespring has stolen the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast brilliant stroke of genius idea of the sucker shit t-shirt, and they're biting our shit. Okay? But all Buttersoft I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast t-shirts, including the one and only OG sucker shit t-shirt, which is now available in black and in white. The Stickman t-shirt, the Me and G Moody Championship podcast t-shirt, the Jake t-shirt, the whole Stickman collection, the hard body karate t-shirt, all of them. And you know they are true blue Buttersoft t-shirts. That means when you wash them, they don't turn into tissue paper. That means when you wash them, they get softer. They don't shrink. An extra, extra large doesn't turn into a medium. It stays extra, extra large. And you know what happens? It gets softer. Hence the title, I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast, Buttersoft t-shirts. All I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast Buttersoft t-shirts are available at districtlines.com. Okay, it's Al Pacino's 78th birthday. Kevin Corrigan, character actor. You know his face. If you don't know his name, we are going to break down what Al Pacino means to us. Okay, the greatness of Al Pacino. It's the 25th anniversary of the iconic film that we both happen to be in, True Romance. We're going to tell some stories on the set of True Romance, meeting Christopher Walken, Gary Oldman, the whole deal. Coming up next on the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast, stay with me, trust me. We are celebrating Al Pacino with my man, special guest, Kevin Corrigan, Kev Cor from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yo, Mike.
Kev Cor.
What's up?
How much time you got?
I got some time.
Let's jump into it because I'm over here, I'm working, and it's Al Pacino's 78th birthday. And I'm going to just flatter you. I've told you this before, but the first time we worked together on Zebrahead, long ass time ago. Long ago. When you came screaming at me on the lawn, it was my first movie. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You barely knew what the fuck you were doing, but you definitely knew more than what I did. I remember thinking, this dude reminds me of Al Pacino. And I know you just got to see him in New York. So on Al Pacino's 78th birthday, because I always equate, and when I think of Al Pacino and I think of the people who articulate what he means to them, that's why I wanted to call you and talk to you about Al on his birthday. So on Al Pacino's 78th birthday, I'll just pose the question like this, and then you could just speak on it. What does Al Pacino mean to you?
First of all, I remember watching like Al Pacino. The name Al Pacino has been in my consciousness since I was 10 years old. Like, it was just, I didn't even know who he was. The name was just in the air, like Elvis or something. Pacino, Al Pacino. In fact, I remember watching The Deer Hunter once. It was on Channel 9, and looking at it and thinking, Al Pacino. I was off, obviously. He wasn't in that movie. But I just saw, a bunch of Italian guys on TV, cursing, and something was like speaking to me about that. New York, these New York voices. He's so New York. But then he started to come into focus for me in the early 80s, and I started going to the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute in around 84. and there was his picture on the wall, I got to see him speak at the Strasberg School October that year, 84. He talked to the students for like 4 hours.
That's dope.
And he was just so generous, Anna Strasberg, Lee Strasberg's widow, introduced him, or she sort of primed the audience he wasn't in the room at the moment. It was very hush when she finally walked in. The place was packed. Everyone wanted to see him. And she said, look, he's just an actor like everyone else here. There will be no applause. Everybody just, he's going to come in here. He's going to talk with you. I remember that clearly. Like, don't give him any applause. And he walked in, and you could feel everybody just suppressing their impulse to scream or clap or anything. And he just kind of lumbered in. You felt like you were in the presence of greatness, of course. You felt humbled, but no one was more humble than him. You could see it in his body language. His shoulders were all hunched. He had this real, like, oh, shucks, kind of like, I'm not that, and he's still that way. I went to see him, as I said, like a couple of weeks ago. There was a Pacino retrospective at the Quad Cinema. And I got tickets to see Revolution, which is not everybody's favorite Al Pacino movie. I went to see it because it was directed by Hugh Hudson, the English director, who was the first person to hire me. And they were both going to be there in person. And it was a 9:00 screening, and they had the Q&A, the in-person part of the event, before the movie. I thought I might have a chance to say hello, to approach him after the movie, but he wasn't going to be there at 1:00 in the morning. I should have known that. But he came in, he sat down with Hugh Hudson, and it was like the moderator kept looking at his wristwatch and saying, it's about 9:15 now. I really don't think we're going to have time for any questions. Someone raises their hand, and Al Pacino goes, yes. And he just totally went over the moderator's head with that. He opened up the room like he wasn't going to let anyone go away disappointed. He just started taking questions and making jokes. He's just like, he has like a humility about him, and a quality about him, a very New York quality, like an approachable quality.
Right.
Like a guy on the street. That's what's always come across to me with Al Pacino. I remember, when I was going to the Strasberg Institute, there were a lot of actors there who took classes with Charlie Lawton. Charlie Lawton was famously Al's best friend and mentor, and he taught a class at Strasberg. I took a makeup class with Charlie one summer. Everybody in the class, there was a group of actors in that class who were doing a play, and Al Pacino came to see the play one night, and I was hanging around this group all the time. They were all older than me, but they all looked like Al Pacino. Everybody. I wanted to be in that group. Really, I wanted to be accepted by that group, and I just hung out with them all the time. I went to see that play like a bunch of times, and one night Al came to see the play in this little 25 seat theater. He ended up sitting right. I remember the stage manager was telling me, Al's coming tonight. I was like, I don't believe it. She goes, well, you'll see. If you hang around, you'll see. He sat right in front of me.
Were you like, oh shit?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. There he was. And afterward, he took everybody down to a diner called the Astor Riviera, which is now a Starbucks in Astor Place.
Oh.
You and I have been there. I remember we went when it was a diner, when it was the Astor Riviera still. And it was like a Wednesday or something. There weren't a lot of people in the place. It was 10:30 at night. We got like a table for 10 people, and it was Al and his driver and Charlie Lawton and the director of the play and the cast and me just sitting there. I was like 17 years old. He was sitting one person away from me. There was one person, between me and Al Pacino. I kept like just looking at him sideways, just like leaning over to try and get as much of a look at him as possible. And he was just like everyone else there. He really was just like another thespian, And we were talking about he was talking about the play and talking about acting, and I just remember him saying one thing in response to somebody. I don't know what the original statement was that he was responding to, but I just remember him saying, "Well, that's it, man. All the world's a stage, and the stage is your world."
Al said that,
but he was just like really supportive of the people in that group who were doing that little play at the Strasberg Institute. And
when you think of when you look back, obviously, people know you've done a bunch of shit. But I mean, we share this, like our love of these actors, and there's like a handful of guys that, like there's new guys that come along that we love and respect, but there's like a handful of guys, that me and you have talked about over the years, over and over and over and over and over, endlessly. Al Pacino, De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, Marlon Brando, John Cazale, that whole crew. Specifically, Al, now that, you're an actor, you're an accomplished actor, you've done your thing, you have, your own style. Christopher Walken's another one who's in my case. Like if I was going to do something on Christopher Walken, you would be the absolute first person I would call. But specifically Al, on his 78th birthday, when I say describe what his acting style is, describe what it is about his acting, going back to the early stuff, because it's evolved and it's changed and it's turned into a different thing, and it's still great. Like I just saw him in this HBO Paterno thing. He was fucking as good as he's ever been. But that early stuff of Panic in Needle Park, obviously Godfather, Serpico, Dog Day, that energy that he had. Talk to me about what it is about his acting, his style, his energy, his uniqueness that separates him from all those other great dudes that I just mentioned.
He has this reality about him that is so intense and so intensely visceral. When he's having an emotion, it's so obvious that he's having it for real that it jumps off the screen or off the stage, from him onto you. Like I always think of Al Pacino kind of licking his lips, and there's always something like his lower lip is always wet and his eyes are always moist. His eyes are shining, with this eagerness. He has these nervous eyes, these very dark eyes, and they're jumping around like not that they're unfocused. It's just like he's always got his eye definitely on something, like a hawk. He's such an intensely focused actor. He's so eager to achieve his objective, whatever he decides it is. And it's coming out of his heart. His heart is almost coming up out of his mouth. He's so he's got this eagerness, and you can see his when he's really getting into it, his lips pull back over his teeth, and he's just intense, and he's just like, he means what he says. It's like there's this thing about him, like, pick me. Don't look over there. Don't look over. Look at me. at me. Put your attention on me. You know, and he just looks like he's ready to pounce. You can see it in he's got these jaguar-like shoulders. He's just like an animal, like a jungle cat. He's just like this feral, instinctual, lithe, quick, furtive, like a tone poet, He's like, I think if Al Pacino is like, he's like the Bob Dylan of the acting world, in the sense that he is so steeped in the craft and of acting, and not just of acting, but of writing too. He's absolutely like a Shakespeare scholar,
right?
Which
he loves it.
Oh, you could call him at 3 a.m. to talk about Shakespeare. I'm sure. I don't know him, but I think that is probably a conversation that you could always have with him. He is an institution, Al Pacino. He's like, we can never lose that man because he is a font of information of the rarest kind. He is a connection to culture and the culture of the theater, the culture of New York City. He's like kind of. It's crazy that it's taken this long for Pacino and Scorsese to work together, given how important each of those men are, respectively, to New York City.
Are you in that film? Are you in The Irishman?
No.
You fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it.
No. I didn't make the team.
Nah, I know. It's. Trust me, I didn't make the fucking team either. You've made the team. You've made the team twice, but I mean that would have been a good fucking team to make. Trust me, I feel the same fucking way.
But and the hunger to be on that team. What it brings up in an aspiring actor of a certain age. Like that quality, that like salivating quality that I associate with De Niro, that please fucking give this is mine. This is mine. Like he's Al Pacino makes, like acting is like this delicious thing to him. He's such a great actor, such a great drama person of the theater.
He's a real artist. Like that word is thrown around a lot, and I don't even like. I've just sort of come to terms to even. I don't even know if I say it publicly, but like to understand what that is, like what an artist is. But that motherfucker is a true blue artist, like straight up. Like you could see it in him. Even when he's not acting, like when you see that guy walking down the street, if you didn't know he was Al Pacino, you'd be like, "Oh, that guy's some crazy artist," right? If you didn't know him, you'd be like, "That's some."
You look at how that guy dresses. You look at his hair. He's an eccentric. He's a weirdo, and he's like you say, an artist. Like his shirt's untucked. He's got this untucked quality about him.
When he was at the screening of Revolution, did you get to say anything to him?
I was all the way in the back of the room. I was at the end of the line. I bought my tickets on Fandango, and then they couldn't find the ticket. So I was like one of the last ones in. Therefore, I sat in the second or third to last row. And then they brought Hugh Hudson and Al into the theater, and I wasn't thinking of saying anything because I couldn't think of anything to say, and it really wasn't that important to me to say anything at that point until I heard people asking questions, and I thought I could think of a better question to ask, and then and once I started to consider that like Hugh Hudson was sitting up there, like I've had dinner with Hugh Hudson once or twice over the past 30 years. We have mutual friends, and Hugh Hudson would certainly know what it meant if I raised my hand and said, "Hugh, it's me, it's Kevin Corrigan." Kevin Corrigan, that's exactly what happened. I finally, but like they couldn't see me raising my hand. I was sending SOS signals after a while.
You were so in the back of the fucking back.
Yeah, and then the moderator, this guy, Gavin, said, I think we're going to wrap this up. We have time for one more question. I was like practically standing on my chair. And really shaking at that point because I thought if I don't say something now, this opportunity will never. This is it. This is it. This is as close as I'm ever going to get. And I was like really nervous, But Al himself, saw me and pointed at me. And I said, I had to raise my voice, because I was all the way in the back. I said, that man, you, Al Pacino, changed my life. I'm from the Bronx, like you, because he talked about. I think that's what made me want to ask the question. Was that it was Hugh Hudson said they were trying to remember how did Al get the job in Revolution. That was the question, and. Al couldn't remember. He couldn't remember why he did the movie, except that he liked Hugh, and he liked his films. And Hugh was like, "Well, I'd only made 2 up to that point." And he goes, "Yeah, but you're a great filmmaker." And I don't know, why did you cast me? And Hugh Hudson said, "Well, we wanted to make this movie takes place in New York City in 1774 or whatever." But it's still a New York story, and it needed someone who's from New York, like a New York native, like this character. And that's what you are. You're from the Bronx. And my heart started beating. I was like, I'm from the Bronx. He's talking about me. See, and I thought, this is, I have to say something. No one else in this room has to say what I have to say. Very personal, a connection. To both these men. In one case, very, very directly, well, both of them pretty, they've kind of been in my life, for more than half my life, most of it at this point. So anyway, I said that, and I said, you inspired me. I'm from the Bronx. You made me want to be an actor. Obviously not just him, De Niro, of course, but I'm in the room with Al. I'm just talking to him, and that's pretty on the money enough. He's someone I've been wanting to tell this to for a long time, and I told it to him.
And what'd he say?
He says, all right. Did you see the movie? Did you see the film? Meaning Revolution. I said, no. Well, yes, I have seen it, but I haven't seen it since you added the narration, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I sat down.
And that was it?
Yeah. I said, you changed, you made me want to be an actor. And I started going to school at the Strasberg Institute, and then the guy sitting next to you gave me my first job in films, Hugh Hudson. And Hugh saw me, and he waved, and it was people were turning around to look. So what the fuck?
What film was it?
Revolution.
No, the film that he cast you in.
Oh, the film that Hugh Hudson cast me in, it was called Lost Angels.
Okay.
And it was cast by Nancy Foy.
Uh-huh.
And It starred Adam Horowitz
from the Beastie Boys.
This is like before Paul's Boutique, like '88. He was gonna, have an acting career. Which he was in a film with Chloe Sevigny this year.
Yeah. He's always dabbled in acting. He should. He got a good personality. He's fucking Beastie Boy.
Yeah. He has a very a pretty direct, like no degrees of separation connection to Al Pacino, because his father, Israel Horowitz, wrote one of Al's first theatrical triumphs, the Indian Wants the Bronx.
Right, the play.
And so there was, Adam Horowitz and me and a bunch of other kids. Everybody wanted to be in that movie at that time because it was Hugh Hudson's first film since Revolution.
Right.
Both he and Al had taken 4 years or 5 years off after that movie. It was like a notorious failure,
right?
In 1985, and someone asked me, "Did you stay to watch the whole thing?" I said, "Of course I did."
Right.
I doubted myself in the first place. I couldn't believe, but I wanted to see it, I thought it was awesome. I thought Al Pacino was fantastic in the movie Revolution.
They always kill him about his accent.
I thought it was a great movie. It reminded me of Gangs in New York in a little bit of a way. But he gives a really heartfelt performance, and it's great to hear his voice in the narration that they put over the movie in the past 5 years. They've been tinkering with it and trying to they're not expecting it to come out and be the box office success that it never was. They just wanted to. They liked the movie. It was a labor of love for them, and they didn't abandon it. All these years later, they still are thinking of ways to make the film better. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
Now, all right, before I let you go, because I'm over here doing my shit, I've been reminded, me and you have worked together a bunch of fucking times, but I've been reminded and it's been brought to my attention 25 fucking years since we did True Romance. 25 years ago. 25 fucking years ago. Can you believe that shit?
25 years ago it came out.
Yo. 25 fucking years ago. And I mean, so me and you met, we were doing Zebrahead. Everybody was hyped up about True Romance. The script was being, talked about. There was no email. You read the script. People had the script. You physically read the script. We had a good time on that set. We were like two kids in a candy store. I specifically remember driving to set either together or being in a van together. And
I don't think they put me up. I didn't. A lot of times you stay in a hotel when you work on a movie and they fly you to LA. I stayed with you.
Mm-hmm. I remember. And I remember going to the set one day. We were like kids in a candy store. And I remember either we were in a van or we were physically driving. Like I drove us to set. I think I might have been driving. And we were driving to set. And Christopher Walken, while we were in the car, we saw him in a black trench coat walking over to the food truck. And you saw him. You were like, oh, shit, there's Christopher Walken. And I was like, you got to go talk to him. You got to go talk to him. And I don't remember if you did or you didn't. I know it was like, or maybe you did. It was a brief sort of, encounter. But what do you, you have such a good memory. What do you remember about the making of True Romance? Because that's a film that fortunately, has stood the test of time. People love that fucking movie. We loved making it. We loved being in it. We were both so excited to be a part of it in any way, shape, or form. So 25 years later, what do you remember about that set. What's your best True Romance story?
Well, first of all, I just want to say about what I remember. I definitely remember us like driving around with you driving, because I didn't drive at the time.
Oh shit!
I didn't know how to drive. I didn't have any interest in driving.
Right.
And
can you drive now? Yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever been driven by you, and I think I'm going to keep it that way. But go ahead.
You were the one who went up to walking at that moment. I was the way I usually am, which was like I ain't saying I'm not bothered. I'm not going up. I'm like that. And
I remember.
You were like, let's forget that, man. Let's go talk to him. And you just and he was like, I remember he lit up. Well, we were in, I think this was I remember it being a makeup trailer. And then we just walked in on him while he was getting his hair done, or I guess he doesn't let anybody touch his hair. Well, whatever he was doing, you just sort of went right over to him. And he seemed delighted. But you have that effect on people. You see, I probably thought, see, this is a guy who knows what Al Pacino's talking about when he says all the world's a stage. And the stage is, but especially the part about the stage being your world. Mm. It's a stage, but it's your stage. Mm-hmm. It's your world. And you do that, you were doing that then, and that was like a set full of, people who walk the world like it's a stage, Gary Oldman, Tom Sizemore. I don't need to go down the list of all the fucking scene chewers in that film.
Yeah, it was so many of us.
But I remember a lot of stuff. I remember Tony Scott quite a bit, I remember when me, Vic Argo, mm-hmm. Paul Ben Victor, and Frank Adonis, and myself, we were like the five wise guys, mm-hmm. The mafia crew that was looking for Clarence, I guess, and Christian Slater's character. But we all got fitted for our costumes, and then Tony Scott wanted to see us together. We were all, our makeup and our wardrobe was all finalized. We were the guys now, the crew, and Tony wanted to check us out, and he was like, I remember him just like lighting up when he saw us, He's like, oh shit, this is great. He was like I remember Tony Scott he was like a kid in a mm-hmm. candy store. Never mm-hmm. mind us. He was like, watching him was like watching a kid on, Christmas Day opening presents. Like, look at this. Check this out. Look at, what we're going to get to do. Look where we're going to get to shoot. Look at this lens here. Look at all this stuff. Look at this. We're going to have like a great fucking time on this thing. And we did. It was just like every moment of it. The way people enjoy watching that movie is how, we enjoyed being there for the making of it. Yeah. And just being around all those people. I remember Telly Savalas visiting the set.
Really?
Not even in the movie, but part of my True Romance experience was that one day when he came to the set. I don't know what he was doing there, but
I never heard about this. Fucking Kojak?
Yeah. You should ask somebody, because he definitely came through with a little like entourage.
That's dope.
And we were in we filmed inside the Ambassador. It was the Ambassador Hotel before they tore it down,
where Robert F. Kennedy got shot.
And everybody was going down to the basement where the spot was marked. I think.
I remember we took that tour together. I remember seeing it. It was like in that kitchen.
Yes. Yeah. That was bugged out.
All right, listen, Kev. Let me let you go. You know, this is an impromptu I Am Rapaport stereo podcast because when I realized it was Al Pacino, Al's birthday, I said you were the first person I thought about.
I'm glad you. I knew it was coming up, I didn't. I thought he was. I didn't know he was good. It was like 70, 77, 76. Yeah, man. Thanks for calling.
Of course, man. You know what we didn't talk about is Tony Manero in Saturday Night Fever staring at himself in the mirror in his black bikini underwear, noticing his character's Serpico poster in the background, and then taunting his grandmother, quoting not Serpico, but Dog Day Afternoon, and saying, Attica, 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 because John Travolta's character in Saturday Night Fever, being a Brooklyn boy, Italian Brooklyn boy, obviously at the time in the 70s, Al Pacino was everything. And then, you know, in Saturday Night Fever also, the girl kisses John Travolta's character, Tony Manero, while he's dancing, and she says, I just kissed Al Pacino.
I never thought about that. Honestly, I never, that's an overlooked detail for me, that he was referenced twice in that movie. Twice.
2 fucking times. Twice. That was his idol. That was like, it made perfect sense. But yo, I appreciate you rocking with me, you know, real quick on the fly. And, you know, I've been wanting to have you on. I need to do the full Kevin Corrigan, because you've done so much and you got so many fans, and you know, like all your GoodFellas stuff, your Departed stuff. I mean, you got fucking stories up the wazoo. So when I come to New York, we got to do the full Kevin Cor.
All right, Mike.
All right, I want to thank my man Kevin Corrigan. I told you it was going to be good. For rocking with me on the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast. I knew he was the guy to get impromptu podcasting in prime time to talk about the greatness and the influence of the artist Al Pacino. On the next episode of the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast, G Moody, whose last name rhymes with duty, will be back. What can I say? Miles Jordan, take us out of here with Smacker. Take us out of here with something real nice, real funky.